All right, let's see here. I'm gonna give you guys a sec to log back in. All right, let's see. I am back in. Let's see if you guys can hear me. Okay, give you guys a second here. Let's see if you guys can hear me here. Okay, good. All right, so I figured out why it was so slow. I guess when my sons were gaming, there was an update for the video card, and they decided that, hey, this sounds like a great time for us to update. So that's why it was so slow. Like all of a sudden, like I lost the one screen, the mouse disappeared. I got this pop-up for Razer that we're updating. I was like, oh God, what's happening? And everything reset at one time. I couldn't shut it down. So yeah, I still have I still got this nice little message here that, all your devices may not work properly, but don't worry, this won't take long. So yeah, I love my kids. I love my kids. I love my kids. I love my kids. Um, so let's wait till everybody gets back on. Josh, let me know if you can hear me so I know that you are back on. This was for you. I'm gonna wait a second. I believe the links are still good. Let's see. All right. So, all right, Josh is good. All right, I had to reshare it for Parker. I'll wait till Parker gets back in. Oh, man, no lag now. Much better. Man, I got stream health of full green. Man, we're rocking now. So whatever the update was, I guess it was good. But man, I'll have to tell them, hey, listen, don't update Daddy's machine without letting Daddy know. Yeah, I got it. Yep. Okay. All right. So Josh is back on. Let me cover this now. So basically, what I was doing is, let me switch back over to. Oh, hold on. I got to connect, and then I'll switch this across. Go over here. All right. So what I was trying to show you was, wait for it to load fully. All right. So we're talking about this wick over wick. So let me blow this up again. Go on, finish loading. So we will blow this piece up. Bam, there we go. We're going to put the little eclipse over this wick over wick, because again, we all know what it looks like right now, right? You guys see this wick behind the wall? So then what I will do is I will change this, and we'll take this to minute. We will do 480 and see if we can see it there, and we'll do 500 days and hit OK. And then we'll see how long this takes. Shouldn't be too long. There we go. All right, so dropping it down to this time frame, a little bit different, right? This is an 8-hour chart, and you guys can see it stretched this whole thing out. But look at the area now. I'll move this so you can see it. The picture looks a little bit different. You can see the big pop down, the sideways movement, although we can't see a retrace yet. And you can see this really long extended range candle. So now let's change it. We'll put this back again so we don't lose what we're talking about. We can make it a little bit smaller, right? Now let's drop it one level lower to something that we are familiar with, and we'll do the 240, okay? And we'll hit OK, okay? Oh, that was like instantaneous. All right, so on the 240 now, we go back. Now, does it look any different? I'll move this so you guys can see it again. Now, does this wick behind the wall look any different? Okay, what about now, Josh? Does this change your analysis as far as what, how things look? Like you guys can see that daily zone here, this obviously changes around a little bit, right? Because again, this was that daily kind of pop up, and that kind of, that pop actually occurred over there, right? We breached the top and it went lower. But now, does it look any different? Okay, so see, depending on the time frame you look on, that's how these look differently. So a wick over wick and a wick behind a wick, all those are really doing is they are showing us that there are imbalances for buyers and sellers on a smaller time frame. Okay, that may be a little bit harder to see. So again, this right here, you can see, oh, I see it now, and you could say, oh, well, in the 4-hour, there is a zone, right here to here, right? And yeah, that would be true. Yes, there is a very, very strong zone on the 4-hour there, right? We're not quite there yet, right? We can see it right above, but the analysis was based off of a daily level. So the daily level was actually this, right? That's basically the low in that kind of pullback on what we saw. when you look at that wick behind the wall, right, that kind of pullback down, that's exactly what we bounced off of. Okay, so that's why I said sometimes you got to be a bit careful. Remember we talked about the curve as well? So let me go back to the daily and we'll talk about the curve. And this, I think I'm going to do a video for you guys on this one. So if we take the, again, just blow the chart up, and again, you can see it gets even a little bit higher here, but if we had to take a high to a low, we'd have to say that this is the high, right? We have to say that this is the, well, I guess we could do it this way. Even if we took it probably the near time high and low, because this was this was a lower low and then we started creating it. So the last time would have been here, and the other kind of low would have been down here. Okay. So with that being said, typically we want to be going short where we're in the upper 30%, right? Okay. So if we did draw some type of a fib line, right? Where is it? We'll do a retracement. Okay. So if you're looking in this realm, and again, these are just standard fibs. These are not anything custom. I think I can do all the things in here. 7 price levels. Yeah, I could edit the price level. So I could put in a 0. I could change this to 33%. This one I would remove. Then we'd remove the 50, remove that, and do 66%. That would be good. Okay. Apply. There we go. So really, anything in this bottom quadrant here, and again, I know I can shade it different colors. I didn't do that, but if I wanted to shade it, anything down in this bottom 33% here, okay, we are looking to go long. There's green. There's green. Okay. Anything in the top quadrant, we are more or less looking to go short. Okay. And then anything here is kind of no man's land. All right. So at this point, you guys can see we have this wick behind the wall. It dinged off of it. Again, it's in the area where we want to go short. It's a daily level, and that's what's driven price back down again. So, over in here, when we're kind of in no man's land, not as big of a deal when we get a pullback, right? It's looking for more orders, and again, that's normal. And again, it popped up and it's looking for more orders, but again, look at the entry. Look how big that candle is, right? This candle has nothing. If we measure this candle as well, and again, this is one of those other things that we gotta look for, is this candle basically start to finish, close on a high, 61.6, right? The ATR is only 43. So it almost doubled its ATR. Okay. So again, what does this signify? You're over 1.5 times, it's considered a racetrack. You should be looking for a bit of a retracement. So when you have a racetrack that bounces off the top 66% in this wick against the wall inside of a sell zone, I'm a lot more likely to look to short this than be looking to go long when you buy some type of pullback here, if that makes sense. So your analysis was exactly correct. The steps that you did, you went and you looked, and again, it is an uptrend setup, right? I mean, you can see if you guys look in the top section over here, right? We do have the uptrend setup, but this is what I'll talk about. Do you want to go long into an area of sellers? Typically, the answer is no, right? You had things like this where it went up, right? This was an uptrend setup right here. It dropped. It was green. I'm sorry. It was an uptrend. We had red pullback, so it was a setup. But again, buyers right below, sellers were sitting right here. We had this area right here that we had to contend with. Oops, right there. Okay, and that's why you see it ding right off the top. So yes, it was red. It was a downtrend. It was an uptrend setup. It grabbed orders below. That's why we weren't shorting it from there. Boom, went up, grabbed it, and that was the retracement down again. And we're in the same situation. Here was one area of sellers. Now there's another area of sellers. And this is an even better area because we are in the top 33% from the near time highs and lows. I know that got a little bit advanced and I went a little bit fast, but is everybody with me at this point? Does everybody get what I just said? I'm going to give you guys a second, see if you guys got that. If I could if I could figure out if Jeopardy music had, copyright claims, I would play that one right now. Let me know if everybody got that. Parker and Ty on your side, and James, Josh, and there's other people on that side too. Waiting for that delay. I definitely need to rewatch this, but I'm getting it. Yep. Even I got it. All right, James got it. That's it. We're golden. All right, Nathan, you got it. Parker, yep. Okay, good. You guys all got it. Yeah, so again, a little bit advanced, but you guys see what I'm saying? I want you to understand the principle behind it, you know? Um, like I said, price action is about thinking behind the scenes. It's not about just blindly following an indicator saying, "Oop, here's that magical, that magical number." Like, I highly respect Jack, but I'm not a fibs trader. I just don't believe in mystical lines. It's just not me. It's like the whole. You guys heard me make the comment the other day about like the Han Solo thing, right? Like Jack is like Luke Skywalker. I am more like Han Solo. Like, I don't believe in like these mystical things. I believe in what I can see, touch, feel, and taste, right? Jack believes in the Force, right? I do not. But the interesting thing is when we do the same type of analysis, Jack will have his fib lines and entries at the exact same places that I have them with price action and supply and demand. It is what it is. There's different ways to go about it, right? Um, no difference between the two. And again, you can tell Jack I'm using fibs, but I'm only using the 33 and the 66, and he's gonna be like, "What the heck is he doing?" Right? But I'm trying to show you that, you know, this is typically what happens in markets. They come back down, and you want to stack the odds in your favor. And I'm just stacking odds. Okay, so I'm glad that you guys got that. All right, so I'm going to delete this because the machine is going to blow up and be like, "What the heck are you doing? That's not how you do fibs." I'll have comments all over the place. People will be like, "No, this guy knows nothing." Okay, but I want you to understand that this is what price action shows. Clear quarter way back, quarter way back versus like a halfway back, the third of the way back. All right, so I'm gonna put this back in its place. Go back, hit fix, come across. Like I think this one will come a little bit lower. I think this will get back down into this 70 to 69.90 area. All right, so let's start from the top. So we're 28 minutes in. We're a little bit behind, but we'll see. All right, so talk about a boring pair right now. Look at this sucker right here, right? The bodies are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It says sideways uptrend, sideways downtrend. Small time frame, obviously a little bit of movement. You have this 15 down to the 90. You got about 25 pips movement here. But it's really been just kind of seesawing back and forth. It's still, cracking higher than this. It did break out of the top a little bit before it pulled back, but it's stuck in this channel. And this channel is only about, I don't even know, about 25, 30 pips max. But this is what we're dealing with, okay? I like to stack the odds as much in my favor as possible. This is sideways. There's no trend here. There's no, there's no movement. There's no conviction. Again, it's not like we have what we have down here. Again, here's your. Oh, remember we looked at examples? Red, green, red confirmation. It ran. So we're in this upper area. I'm still waiting for triggers down here. This pair, I just got nothing right now. I mean, this is literally what we're looking at. So there is Aussie news this week. There's some tonight. There's some later in the week. That would be the time to kind of check this pair out and see if we can get some movement. But right now, there's just there's not a whole lot there. Aussie New Zealand. So Aussie New Zealand, it isn't a downtrend setup. It is stuck down in this kind of bottom level. So this one did have some movement. You guys can see over here. We had movement from 103.87 all the way up to 30. So we had about 40 to 50 pips movement in this one. Again, pushed all the way down. And this one was, it's interesting. It spiked down and immediately came back up again. It did give us a bit of a retest, right? It came up, it went down, and it went down to, I don't even think we made, I think it was really, really close to a 2-to-1 here. 21, and it made it down to like 41. So we were just shy of a 2-to-1. So again, if you had taken this kind of continuation pattern, this break, retest, and drop, it took some time. It was boring to watch. And again, made it up to 40 pips. Maybe you hit your 30 pips for the day and you took yourself out. That's entirely possible. But once you started to see this level of basing here, the second you had two breaks on this candle, you're out. Okay. So you would have taken this down to 103.92, which would have been here. So had you taken this trade from last week, you would have got 32 pips out of it. About a 1.5, about a 1.5 to 1. Okay. Not the best trade in the world, but again, it did follow the correct pattern, and we are kind of in this kind of racetrack to the downside. So we're definitely looking for, some type of selling to go back down to this 103.38 area. If we can get a confirmation over here, if we can get a bit of a green bounce and then I get a red close, I'm going to look to go short because I'm not too concerned about this. A little bit of an area here, but when I look to see what caused this kind of turnaround, again, I can see it's this level of basing. Okay, price is pushed off of there once already, and the ascent up there, again, obviously, to me it seems like it's more news based with the Aussie. So I'd like to retrace, break a little bit lower, and then potentially keep this to the downside. But I want to get the confirmation. I don't want it to go too far because I'm going to use this kind of peak as probably my, mm, yeah, I'll probably put about a 10. Wherever we get in, I'll probably put a 10 pip or whatever's up here um, from the entry, just right above, and use that as kind of my trail to the downside. Um, yeah, I was going to say, I mean, the way Jack explains fibs, way different. But I totally get what you're saying there. Yeah, I mean, I'm not explaining fibs. I'm just using the fib tool because it has percentages on there, and it's an easy way to break up, 33 and 66. So I'm not using it as far as retracements or extensions, Parker. I'm just using the tool because it's preloaded to do percentages. That's all. All right, so that one should make sense. Aussie dollar, we went through that one. Again, I expect that more to come down lower. Again, it already bounced off this piece. I'm looking for it to grab orders, most likely around 107.13, and we'll see if that can come back down again. Um, from that area, I may look to, again, we're in no man's land in that middle 30%, so at that point, I would potentially look for it to go higher again. Again, this is a pretty nice kind of pullback base and a nice burst off of it, so I'm definitely interested in that area as well. But if you have been short, again, that would be your target to get out, and then you can play it by ear at that level. Looking at the CAD yen, CAD yen is something on Wednesday, guys, I would definitely be paying attention to, just because with such lack of news releases, again, CAD is proxy for oil. There may be some movement in this pair, but this could be a potential area to play with it. So we got back down and we hit our second target on this one. It did rally back up again. Our trigger was this 82.41. You guys can see it came down and then has bounced, and that's what you're seeing on this right-hand side. It is looking for more orders. I mean, really, we had a really, really great, descent down, and then it kind of stopped with a bit of a retest. There's a bunch of sellers in here. You guys can see the pink on the right-hand side. You guys will see there's some orders here, some orders here, some orders here, descending here. So there's definitely small pockets of sellers. Again, it's got to clear this bottom area, and this is a pretty good area. I'll remove the blue so you can see it, but we have the single wick against the wall, and then we have this piece, right? You guys see this little sawtooth kind of wick here, wick here. These ascending wicks are showing me that there's sellers there. I'm sorry, buyers, and then we have a wick against the wall. So really, it's the entire area, but the first zone that I'm looking for is this first one here at 82.17 to 82.09, and that's kind of where we ran into. We went down to 14 before we popped up again. So I want to see if this can keep making a couple attempts and grinding to the downside. I would like to get short this pair and take my profit down at 81.50, about 60, about 70 pips from where we are right now. So if we could break this 82.09, I want a little bit of a retest or coming, if there's a zone just below, if it grabs those and starts to push lower, that's what I'm going to be targeting back down to this, as I said, this 81.50 area, right in this area. Okay, I want to take this racetrack over to this line. That could definitely be a Wednesday trade if it hasn't already kind of ground its way down there. All right, Aussie yen. So Aussie yen is in a downtrend setup. Okay. Problem is we're getting really, really close on this one. We have, whoops, I don't know if I did the right ruler. Got about 50 pips to the downside before we run into this zone. But looking at the 4-hour, there's not really a lot of great stuff there. We have pushed down twice, right? People will say, oh, it's a double bottom. We've had 2 pushes down. Don't really love how the candles are formed, though. This wick was a bit higher. There's a little bit of a zone above here at 158.83, but I don't really love a lot of this. You guys can see, I mean, we've really been, here's the one first. Here's the second one that went a little bit lower. Actually, it's dead even. It's the same exact bottom. You guys see here and here. Same exact bottom. So next attempt through, I think I'd be into this one. Again, conflicting down setup, up setup, up setup. But that's because it's basically just moving sideways on these 2 lower time frames. Problem with setting this one up to the downside is going to be putting the appropriate risk in. Where price is right now, you already have about 14 pips risk. Risking 14 is not bad if you can get 50, but again, we don't have any type of confirmation to the downside, so it's most likely going to be 20 to 25, and I don't necessarily want to risk 25 on a pair like this just to make the chance of making 50. So a lot of the basing here has kind of gotten a little weird. Now, later in the week, though, we do have, let me see here. Let's see. So Wednesday morning, there's French flash services PMI, which is not a big deal. But at 3:30, there's German PMI, and German PMI can definitely move things. As well as 7:45, you have the financing rate and the monetary policy, and then an ECB press conference. So there's a lot of European news. So this pair is definitely something we're going to keep our eye on going into Wednesday. And again, we'll talk about it tomorrow night again. But again, just kind of keep this one on your radar if you guys don't look at this one. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of great zones besides this, 160.27 and the zone above it. That's about the only two that are really, really good right now. It's the top side. But this pair will definitely be moving on Wednesday. And again, it has one of the, pretty nice size ATR of 80. Definitely some movement that we can capture in this one. All right. Dropping down to Euro Pound. So Euro Pound gave us the one piece of the retrace that we needed. As I mentioned this morning, I went over kind of, because I only do the Natix presentation once a week, I went over and kind of explained. So if you guys didn't get it, make sure you watch that video. I explained that typically when you see trends like this, we had talked about how we had very, very sharp, a very sharp incline here, and then it kind of changed, and then it kind of changed again, and now it's just kind of going sideways. But most of the time when you see channels trending upwards or downwards, what you will see is a sideways break, not a down break. This one is actually giving us a more or less a down break at this point with this kind of push, right? We had our first kind of this initial, and you guys see the little green box here. We had our first trap, and we're kind of at that area now. But again, we had 3 days down, a bit of a pullback, but it did not close at a high and did not break this top. And now all of a sudden we're starting to see these things push down, sideways down, down, and this is uptrend setup, but it's just because it's junk here, right? So we start to get a red candle. Again, that's our confirmation that this has flipped and turned. Okay. There's a lot of European news, as we mentioned before. Oscillator is red over here on the downside. You're seeing a bit of a retracement. It came back up and grabbed more orders in here. This I'll move this now so we can talk about it for analysis purposes. But there's your wick over wick. Okay, came right up to the very, very top, right? And actually, it actually touched this single wick against the wall peak, but I would have gone off the wick over wick. But you guys see this spike up? That's where the retracement came from. Okay, so now we're starting to get the confirmation on the upper time frame. European news, a little bit of weakness. You get some bad PMI numbers in France and Germany. That's where this thing really starts to go back down and kind of come back into the equilibrium area of 187, 186. Looking at kind of the broader spectrum of things, we're at the very, very upper end, right? We've seen sellers up here before. We're starting to have problems again. It didn't go quite as high. We're starting to push back. We're breaking one of the bases in here, and you're starting to get this kind of look, right? And again, if you do the 33%, we are definitely, I don't even need to draw it. You're definitely in the top 33% of this one as far as, where we're more likely to be short, okay? And again, that's why I've been, talking, so bearish about this pair forever, okay? That's what we got here. I think I've been waiting for this to drop for a while. If we go much lower, if we get one breakthrough, I'm going to be short this one. Looking at Euro Yen, okay? Here's Euro Yen's bounce. So it's a downtrend setup, okay? We've been talking about how this has been at a channel. Our trigger for this one has been 102.76, and you guys can see over here, 102.76 is right here. We've been flaunting with it. It's close. It just isn't there yet. It's kind of right there. It's super, super close. It's holding the bottom of that channel. Okay, it's having some issues. It had a little bit of a gap. Again, we had a red, green, red confirmation with a little bit of a pop back on the 4 hour. But again, similar pattern. This will be the third attempt through, okay? Again, after 3 to 4 is kind of the magic number when these things break. And again, it used to be this is kind of where we were, and again, this was a trigger because it was the end of that kind of big push. So we still have all this wick to kind of overcome. But the way that it's looking right now, it's grinding through. It's lower than it was before. It's close, just a little bit of bad news at all. Again, those PMI numbers, this thing can start going back down again. And if we use that other wick, that other wick is, geez, I mean, it's all the way down to 118.77. So, I mean, there's about 200 pips to the downside that this one has the potential to start kind of, forging new ground. And if we can get a break of this one, this really the 121, but the 120.80 is really kind of or 120.75 is really going to be the big trigger. A lot of you guys will actually see me, I know you guys have seen it before, but I have on my MT4 charts, I also have the kind of whole number, the quarters theory up there. This is kind of at that level right now where it's approaching. Like 120.80, if it breaks that, 120.80, 120.75 is kind of the trigger, depending on if you're using the actual quarters or the 20s. for a little bit more risk, but a little bit more gain. We're approaching that right now. Okay, and again, this is kind of one of those power levels because you're hitting it not only on the daily, but you're also hitting it on kind of like the 4 hour. All right, it's matching up in a couple different places to the downside. So interesting place where we are with this one. All right. Um, and I think we're going to get a break here pretty soon. Okay, looking at euro dollar. Again, euro dollar, you are seeing the weakness again. Okay, we had this kind of retracement up. It banged off this 4 hour level of basing. Okay, and collapsed. It went through, it broke the target. And again, today, what is it doing? Dropping, 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 dropping. So again, I've wanted this to come down and break 112. We are below 112. Love it under 112. I need to get under 111.86. If we do that, I think we can get back down to this 111.25-ish area, and that's when the magnets start turning on. Okay. It's got to break this level first. I mean, like I said, it bounced, it came again, it bounced again. So this is really attempt number 3. Hence why I do have a feeling that we are going to break in the next day or two, especially the way that's looking right now. I think tomorrow may be a little bit flat again. If you guys look, you can see that today was pretty flat, this little thing right here. Really not a whole lot of movement. I think we may get another day before the European news on Wednesday morning, but I think we have the power to push lower. Definitely bearish this pair. And again, it goes with and you're seeing this across multiple pairs, right? You're seeing it in the euro pound, you're seeing it in the euro yen, you're seeing it in the euro dollar. Okay, across the board, we're starting to see this type of bearish kind of sentiment set up in multiple pairs in a row. And that's typically the trigger. And again, you guys don't know what this is because I haven't covered it yet, but this is an anchor break. Okay, we had an anchor, price broke below it. That's an entire trading setup and trigger to the downside. Okay. So again, still bearish. I would like it to, like I said, 111.80 is probably where I'd stick a trigger in this one. Let's see, I'll shrink it. I'm going to put it here and then set that alert. So right there. Like I said, I'm hoping to actually have that channel in Discord up and running. Hopefully by the end of the week. I talked to the programmer and he's not from the United States. He kind of misunderstood what I meant on the first time because I was having a problem with the indicator that he set up. I was testing the indicator and it wasn't triggering and sending alerts because I thought it was a breakout higher than the ATR setting. It was actually the opposite. It was to tell you when it didn't hit the ATR setting. So hence why I was like, why is it not triggering? It's not like I can't I was changing the parameters so I could get it to trigger when it went far, and it kept going far and it wasn't triggering. It was because it was the other way. It's meant to stay when it's below. So he's trying to change the code, and hopefully he gets it back to me this week. So it's going to be two things. I'm going to set the channel is going to be for alerts for like this or racetracks. Okay, so that's kind of the goal, and I'm trying to get that done this week. All right, so that's what we got going on with this. Let's go down and we look at the pound yen. I want you guys to look at this level of excitement. Check this out. I mean, look at this. Amazing, right? Look at the body. Body's huge, right? No, not really. Yeah, it's flat for like 16 hours. It really hasn't done much. Lower time frame, it looks like it's pretty exciting, and it's going up and down, and it's literally kind of based at this upper level, which we saw before. And again, on the 4 hour, here, I'll show you guys. Let me pull some of these off. Okay, so here's that basing level. Well, right below it, here was our trigger, right? That trigger is, whoops. Here, I'll make this one bigger so you guys can see it. Okay. Here was that other one that we talked about. And it only made it up that high. So we ended up not getting in the trade because it hit this lower level. It looks better on the lower time frames, but there was the upper level, and it didn't even make it that far up before it turned and shot back down again. The trigger on this one was when we had this big push up very, very fast for the retracement. It's easier to see on the 1 hour. Okay. You had this push up. Again, it broke this prior level of basing. It came up. It retested, went higher, based, and then collapsed. And again, pulled back up to that same zone again. So you guys can see this this basing zone here, it's easiest to see here, but it actually started back here. You guys can see it spent time, it came up, it retested it, went over, broke it, retested it in this candle, went down, came back up, hit it again, went back down again, and then we pulled back up again. So this 134.80 to like 134.70, this 10 pip range has just been like a crazy range. You can see it's a wick over wick is what started it originally. Okay, so it's just, again, no real trend. This is definitely a definition of sideways. It's been 2 days, and then today it just hasn't moved. Okay, um, pound news for the week. Let's see. No real big pound news for the week. So not a ton there. Now in 24 hours, this one has dropped about 36 pips. And again, it was this kind of drop right here that you saw. And again, all that did was bring it right back down to this level of basing. So nothing I really love about this pair. There's just nothing screaming that it's going to be good right now. Pound dollar, again, pound dollar had this big push up, what I would call a racetrack on the daily. 87 pip ATR, it moved that on Friday was what? 136. So just under double, but again, racetrack quality. And what did it do? It turned, it flipped, and it retraced back down again. Okay. And it's still continuing to push back down. First target would have been here. Second target's down here. It's still on the way down. It's about 20 pips away. Again, that target would be right. Oops, not that one. Horizontal line would be right here. Okay. Target one was right here. Okay, and we hit target one, came through, and we're kind of on the way to target two. Okay. Again, sideways down, downtrend setup because it's a little bit of a green. We are at the level of basing, which I kind of expected. Okay. I expected to be a bit slow. I thought it would go to this area. Not as high as it did, but it's still continuing to push down. So you should be short this one. Not a bad trade at this point. I do have a trigger though. I have a target as well as a trigger down here at this 124. If we can get down to the 124 area, I think the pound could be in a bit more trouble, particularly with dollar strength. If they continue to drive dollar strength, I do know that and I said this earlier today. If there's any numbers or Trump is bored, he's going to tweet and he's going to attack the Fed about raising rates, or I'm sorry, lowering rates. And I saw that he made some comments about lowering rates, just like doing it right now, just like just like you can do it whenever you want. But you knew that was coming. And again, he's going to be, yeah, we're going to hear about that for a while. The lowering the rates back to December numbers. But I think any dollar strength in here is going to push us down. Lowering rates is not going to give us dollar strength, but I feel that the economy going where it is going to. All right. Look at New Zealand dollar. New Zealand is kind of definitely turned, right? We've seen this kind of push back down again. It didn't go as high. It went, it had its failure to go higher. Again, there was an entry over here. There's another entry over here. So two different chances to get short this pair. First target again. Again, this is already passed, so you shouldn't be in it already. But there's a pair. Actually, it would be, sorry, it's right there. Okay. Again, we want to be above the body of the kind of burst candle. Again, this one, you didn't have an entry here, but you did have an entry here. Okay, so this one, this is what you were kind of going for. There. Okay, and again, that's first target. When price came back up again, here is kind of your top section of kind of buyers and sellers. It hit it again, and again, your confirmation on this one would have been, again, you could have taken it from this top section, or you could have got in here. Okay, and again, this area has already been hit. You could have had target one here, and target two is right there. Okay, that was the start right here of the move, which we just hit. Okay, so New Zealand has actually delivered twice. This one's actually had some good movement over the last, basically 3 days. Typically is rather slow. Even on the 4 hour, you guys can see where it came back down to. You guys see it came to the start of the move, right? Where the price popped, right? Oh, not that one. I'll just do this one. You guys see right there. Again, that's where the target. That was the start of the move. Okay, we'll change this to green so you guys can see it a little bit better. Okay, there's the start of the move. Price came up, pulled back, went up, based, and then boom, exploded. Okay, so you always want to use again, racetrack setup, came back down, kind of retested, gave you an entry in case you missed it or you wanted lower risk. Okay, it bounced where it was supposed to, came back up, grabbed more orders, boom, right back down again. So we're in an area of basing right now. I'd be a bit cautious on this one, although I do think that this one has the potential to go a little bit lower. And it's something very, very similar to what we saw with the euro dollar. Okay, again, euro dollar, pound dollar, New Zealand dollar, even the Australian dollar, you will typically see the same thing because they are all dollar based. And it's just like we were seeing the setup with the euro pound, euro yen, and euro dollar. All right, even euro Aussie had a similar kind of setup. All right, that's just how pairs go because it's you're dealing with it's one versus the other one, and when that one is the common denominator, and this is something that you don't necessarily have in futures as often. Okay. So again, this one's looking good. This one, if you didn't trade this one, I'm guilty. I am not in this one. I did not trade this one, but I was watching this kind of unfold, and it just, timing didn't work out for me to get entries on this one. But this is a nice setup. If anybody caught this one, props to you. Okay. Yeah, but May has no power anymore. Nobody cares about May. All right. CAD. CAD has pulled back. We are in a 4-hour zone. Okay. What I would say right now on a CAD is because we've pushed back up and because it has been such a fast ascent. And again, this is the dollar strength that we've seen across the board, right? Prices push back up again, but as fast as it has gone up, it can also turn, right? So right now we have our red, we have green, but we don't have our confirmation. There's a little bit of a confirmation right here. Okay, we had a red, green, red confirmation. And this would have been about 8 pips. You probably would have got stopped out on it if you would have entered because it immediately came back on you and kind of pushed down. There was some warning signs, but we're actually up in the zone right now. You guys can see it if I extend this zone across. Okay, this is where the zone was before. That's what we're banking off of. All right, and again, very, very strong day up. It's very rare that we get this type of ascent straight up with any type of a pullback. So I'm looking for a red confirmation down here. One way that you can do this is if you guys kind of put a confirmation here. Change this to yellow because that is where we are looking for our alerts. Okay. If it breaks below the low, you know that we're going to have a red candle. Again, this is something you can check back over the next couple of hours. It is red now. Once we get the red close below, that is confirmation that we have changed trend. Okay, first target for me, I'll delete this guy off. First target to the downside, I would put probably about in there. Okay, your red will be somewhere in here, so it's going to probably look something like this, most likely. You're talking about 10 pip risk on that one. And if you have the 10 pip risk there, whoops, going to be there. Down to this first target, it's going to be about 30. So it's going to be about a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Second target, if you want to keep something, bigger, there's a little bit of a bump here. Second target down would be somewhere in this area, and that's about 67 pips. So that's about a 6-to-1. So you could take half your position off, move your stop loss to break even, trail it down, and see if you could eventually hit this bottom target down at 130.50. But and again, that's right at 130.50 is where the second target is. First one is at 130.85. Entry is going to be approximately around 131.18 ish. You got to see where the actual close comes in to kind of take back that position over. Again, be cautious. There is a little bit of a bounce area here. And again, target one is also a little bit of a bounce area. But you would be up probably about 1.5, almost 2-to-1 at this point when we got to the bounce. So your stop loss will be moved up to break even so you couldn't get dinged on it. All right. Yeah, that's what we got for this one. And again, as far as the curve goes, we are on the lower side, but we are in an area of supply, that we're looking at, turning around selling. So it's definitely a smaller time frame trend. I'm using this as kind of my large time frame, and this is I'm not using the daily as much right now. Okay. Typically, again, curve on this one, if we're doing high and low, again, it's kind of out of the park up here, but we are still in the bottom section, but in the top of the most recent high and low, right? This is obviously a trend coming down. We had lower high, lower low, lower, but then all of a sudden higher, higher, and a push above. So the trend changed. So this is kind of your most recent closest supply and demand areas, and we are on the top side of the curve on this one. Okay, again, curve is a little bit hard to explain, but you guys can. It's based off the closest in that kind of range. And again, here it's really this is the start of this move down, but we had broken the trend here. We had broken levels. And reestablished another trend and then kind of gone sideways. So this is kind of the high and the low as far as this one goes. Dollar Swiss. Okay. Dollar Swiss had a little bit of strength. Again, it had a couple days down, really kind of strong pop, and we're just kind of bouncing around. It's stuck inside of, this channel is pretty tiny. We're talking about a 25 pip range, so it's really not even worth trading at this point. If you want to go to the lower time frames, you guys can see here, it's kind of just been bouncing back and forth. Been very, very slow. Again, 25 pip channel is not really worth it in my eyes to trade. If you've been short, again, you probably most likely you took yourself out of it if you have been short. Again, it's so stagnant at this point, it's probably not worth keeping the risk on. You may have been able to trail it super close, but it's enough of a movement back and forth that it's not trending, so it's not worth keeping the position on. You're just hoping at that point. It looks like we're not going to hit this area until we kind of can break lower. Just my assessment. Maybe you guys believe something else, but I'm not going to be in that one. All right, dollar yen. So dollar yen bounced right off this daily zone. Again, this is the very, very bottom. Again, Josh, this is kind of the epitome of that question. If we're talking about the most recent highs and lows, this is a different trend. This was the most recent trend to the downside. So here would be your bottom, here would be your top. We are obviously in the very, very bottom of that kind of near-term low. We're in the bottom 30%. You'd be looking to go long. So again, there was your long. Again, very, very strong entry with this kind of red candle. You would have had to grab it. If you look over here, okay, I'll just move this one down. Okay, oops, no. There's your descending wicks. You see a wick here, and then a wick higher. I'll move this so you guys can see it. You see the kind of sawtooth, right? The ascending wicks. There you go. That's what we bounced off of. Okay, you missed it by just a slight bit. But again, the way you would have tagged, if you were watching this one, when it got the low, you got the high, the low on the break above this. Again, there's your red, there's your green. I'm sorry, there's your green, there's your red that did not break the green. And once it got a little bit higher, your trigger is right here. Okay, you could have taken this one. I'll show you guys how to set this one up. Okay. Oops. Okay, there would have been your risk. Okay. As a first target, depending on how long you wanted to hold this position, okay, you would have gotten yourself out probably about this area, most likely there. Okay, that would have been target one. Target two would have been here. You could have done it. You could have done it to this wick over wick. If we want to stay conservative, we would probably go in here. Okay, and then if you wanted to do, oops, not that. If you wanted to do target three would have been back up to the start of this area. Okay, and again, that's where we hit. It did actually break higher. The pullback on this one, I probably would have gotten out of it. I probably wouldn't have gone for an extra one, but had you wanted to, you could have actually gone all the way up to this level here, and you hit that one, and now it's just kind of basing, right? And you guys can see it actually came all the way up and tagged this zone, right here, back down, grab these orders from this base, hit that, went down, and then went back up again. So kind of in a shorting area right now. Again, it is giving us a downtrend setup. We are touching a wick over wick on the 4 hour. We did just touch this zone here. So this could be one that you guys are looking to take short overnight if you want. Maybe take something small. It didn't move. It moved okay, but it didn't move a ton today. It has about a 55 pip ATR. The problem with an overnight on this one is your strike's going to be about 20 pips apart. So this is one that you can go to try to, if you're going to take it in Nadex, kind of try to do your double your money on it. If you're going to take it in currencies, your risk is rather small. You're talking about a 4 pip risk, right? Even if you took it from any type of confirmation, you can get in at least, you can get within 10. Okay, the downside. Yeah, like I said, this is your retracement on the way up is probably the best looking thing on this one. Is there any minor news tomorrow? Let me see something. Hold on, one sec, guys. Here, I'll just drag it over. It's probably easier that way. Not really. No, this is not going to do anything. No, that's not going to do anything either. Man, I don't know. Tomorrow's it's like 2 days of just blah. Yeah, I don't know. I like that one for short. I would definitely not risk more than 10 pips on that one to the downside. I think that kind of dollar yen and dollar CAD are both kind of the same setup. It's a dollar short situation. Same thing here. If we get a confirmation to the downside, get a break below that 131.20. Again, you're seeing this pulled up into a 4-hour zone, dropping it over on the same thing here. Kind of a similar situation. We're seeing a basing level. That's what it based off of. Last time it hit, it had the same type of downtrend. Um, if you're looking for kind of measurements on that one, like I said, you know, there's about a 10 pip risk. To the base here, you're talking about 23 is a 2-to-1. This target is about a 2.7 to 1. Next target down here is about a 4.5 to 1. So there's some movement in this one. Here is basically one ATR to the downside. Actually, no. 55 would be here. Okay, right to this level, which actually looking across is a couple pips shy of, let's see, there would be the other target, and that's about 58. So yeah, so a couple pips shy back to the downside as far as the retracement goes. All right. All right, guys, that's it. A little bit after 10 o'clock, just by a couple minutes. We kind of sped it up there, but I wanted to make sure we got that. Sorry for the delays in there. Make sure I tell my kids no more updating my computer when I let you play. See, I was nice, and that's what happened. But again, wait for confirmation on the two U.S. pairs. The Euro pair is the same thing. A couple things we have overnight. It is Monday. I know a lot of you guys you stay up later than I do. Actually, kids have first day of camp tomorrow, so I am leaving the house at 6:45, and I have to drive. You guys don't know the area, but I have to drive over to Bethesda, which is, it's not far. It would take like 45 minutes with no traffic, but obviously rush hour traffic on the DC Beltway. Yeah, I think their camp starts at 9, and I'm leaving at 6:45 tomorrow. So you guys can get what I have in store for me in the morning. So I probably will be in the car, and I won't be around first thing tomorrow morning. But you guys can shoot messages if you want across Discord or post whatever you guys got. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to take off. I will catch you guys later. Let me click this button here. Dun, dun, dun. Exit, and let's see if we can get you guys some music.